time you might be hearing them, have been in place for a very, very long time. They're not capricious, they're not targeted. They're meant to ensure the safety of everyone and that many voices can be heard at a board meeting. And the last time I read regulations, following that, something sort of concerning happened, and someone reported us with our photographs and our contact information and our names to an organization called Turning Point USA. And I suspect, not coincidentally, 24 hours later, my name and phone number appear on the dark web. And it's an organization that targets board members, that calls board members parasites, serpents, sociopathic, and hyper-aggressive. And I think I can safely say that my colleagues are none of those things. They're in fact exemplary public servants. And so what I hope is that we can all work together respectfully, without doing that sort of thing. In fact, I found it so personally uncomfortable and threatening to have my name out there like that we have decided we will no longer ask for your addresses when you come up and speak at the microphone. Because our regulations prioritize district residents, we will ask you for your residency. We will ask you to say what school district you reside in and your name. But other than that, we're not putting a target on you any more than we like having one on ourselves. So having said that, these are our comments about public comments. The Board of Education invites you, the members of our community, to feel comfortable in sharing matters of interest or concern that you might have. Concerns raised during public comments will not be responded to or discussed during the meeting. Those items brought to the attention of the board during this time may be taken under consideration for future response or action. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and the total time for this portion of the agenda will be limited to 15 minutes. Deb and I will be the timekeepers. As per our regulations, the same individual may not speak nor the same topic be addressed at consecutive board meetings. To avoid repetitive comments and to allow for a variety of perspectives, individuals who wish to convey a particular message as part of a group are asked to designate a representative to speak on their behalf. We'll ask that when I call you, I have 3 people signed up thus far. I'll ask if there's anyone else after those 3, that you begin by stating your name and the name of your school district in which you reside for the record. So in order of sign-ups, I have Carrie McKeegan first, please. Hello. Give me 1 second. Please.
That was my first time on microphone too.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
It is.
Just pick it up and hold it. Okay, whenever you're ready, please.
Okay. I'm Carrie McKeegan, and I have kids in the Canada School District. Hello, my name is Carrie McKeegan. I have 3 children in our school district, a 5th grader, an 8th grader, and a 10th grader. So 1 in each building. We lead a busy life, and our kids are involved in many activities, both inside and outside of school. I'm proud to raise my family here with my husband. I'm a Canandaiguian and still live in the home that I grew up in. I have the same home phone number, I get the newspaper, and I love where I live. Change is not the easiest for me, as you can see, but I do my best. I try to be open-minded and teach my kids to be the same. I attended Canandaigua schools and was involved in my school community. Played the violin, ran track, and played basketball. I had a great group of friends, and I love that I'm still in contact with many of the teachers that I had in my schooling years. I take an active role in the education of my children. I attend school and sporting events. I often substitute teach in our district and value the connections that I have with students and staff. Before I stayed home with my children, I taught in both public and private school settings, both of which I value. I share this about my life because I believe that my children are getting a well-rounded education, and I have so many opportunities to learn about themselves, join groups, and navigate this world, which has greatly changed since I was younger and I was 9th grader. People change, and education has changed. I was quiet in school and not very confident, like I'm shaking right now. I often felt different because I didn't have the same home life as my friends. You see, not everyone has the same opportunities, life experiences, socioeconomic status, or core values. Being different isn't easy. I watch my kids navigate their social worlds and listen to them when they talk about different groups, activities, friends, and opportunities. I listen to them talk when they're in different lessons or activities they are a part of in the classroom. This is the choice we have made by having our children attend a public school. You get a variety of learning styles and needs without discrimination. The nice thing about a public education is that our children are exposed to many views. They're given a safe place to listen and find resources if they need them with trained professionals. I'm present in every school building and have been able to see what life is like in our schools. What I love most is they're experiencing different views and learning sensitivities that others might have because we are all human. We all have our own moral and world views, and I'm thankful that the Canandaigua schools are a place where my kids and others feel safe and included. This sense of belonging and learning kindness is important for a public school education. I'd like to thank the Board of Ed for their commitment to inclusion, diversity, and equity.
Next, Amanda Harris, please. Whenever you're ready.
This is hard for me and different, so for a lot of you this is going to be different. So, good evening. My name is Amanda Harris. My boys go to Canandaigua, and I've also had the privilege of teaching here for 17 years. I was raised in the church, and looking back, I see that many of my beliefs were not actually mine. We were taught to simply listen and follow, and I did blindly. Until that is my second year of teaching third grade, when I met one of the most beautiful humans that I will ever have the privilege of knowing. I called her Bean then. He still lets me call him Bean now. When I looked at that adorable, beautiful soul child, I knew he would grow up to be a confident member of the LGBTQ+ community. He didn't even know it yet, but I did. And in that moment, for me, everything changed. Because if we are to see the face of God in a child, there is no denying this child as his. How he came into this world at his core. It woke me up and my eyes were opened. I just wish I could have seen sooner. You see, my parents divorced when I was in 5th grade, and my father remarried eventually. My stepmother had 2 daughters, Rachel and Rebecca. Rachel and I were the same age. This is Rachel's story. From the beginning, it was really hard to get along with Rachel. She was so angry and lost. And now I know why. She came out 2 years later. To say it was not a positive experience for her is an understatement. You see, my father is a pastor of a denominational church known for its, discrimination of all kinds. As you can imagine, my stepsister was shunned and belittled and humiliated and abandoned at 14. She was kicked out of the house, told over and over again she must just be full of sin, and it really makes me sick to admit it out loud, because the thing is, I believed it too. I was critical, unaccepting, and judgmental, and I was ignorant. I was part of the problem, not the solution. Rachel, in turn, turned to drugs, self-harm, and suffered from serious depression. She dropped out of high school and found acceptance with that drug crowd, because what else was there for her? We lost her then, and little did we know it was going to be forever. The last time we spoke, we were 18. Rachel died my junior year of college. We were 20. She was alone, and she shouldn't have been. She should have had her family, us, but we were too blinded by preconceived notions and unquestioning beliefs simply because that's how it always had been. There are so many stories like this. So many cast aside with nowhere to go and no one to love them. Thankfully, though, children in our great district don't have to carry that burden or fear. Thank you to our amazing board, administration, educators, and support staff. We as a district continue to create that safe place for everyone. We become their family. We support them. We love them unconditionally. That is the CA way, and I'm proud to say that. Remember my Bean. Honor my Rachel. Thank you for loving and supporting all of our children.
Thank you. Next, we have Jennifer Prairie.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Prairie, and I'm in the Canandaigua district. I am presently the membership chair of the Canandaigua PTSA, and once again, I'm here to state the support of PTSA for all students, regardless of their gender, socioeconomic status, religion, race, ethnicity, and any other identity they may carry. We at PTSA believe that all students deserve to have their voices heard and their values seen. The PTSA slogan is "Every child, one voice." And it's our job as PTSA to speak up when our students face any barrier to their safety or belonging.
because without safety or belonging, students can't get the excellent education that they deserve. National PTA and Canandaigua PTSA believe that schools should be safe, supportive, and respectful environments for all students. However, we know that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning students are more likely than their peers to be bullied, feel unsafe at school, skip school because of safety concerns. Within this climate of hostility, 1 in 6 LGBTQ youth report being physically assaulted within the past year because of real or perceived orientation or gender identity. Additionally, LGBTQ students are 2 to 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their non-LGBTQ peers. The National Transgender Discrimination Survey found that 41% reported attempting suicide compared to 1.6 of the general population. That rate rose up to 55% of transgender individuals who were harassed or bullied in school. It's clear that there is a most urgent need for explicit protection of these youth and to create safe and affirming learning environments. Additionally, National PTA and Canandaigua PTSA stand firmly against racism in all forms and the culture of oppression that permeates the United States. As an association that represents all children, we must listen, educate, and advocate beyond rhetoric to rise to correct all inequities and injustices. The experience of LGBTQ students often intersects with that of Black, Indigenous, and students of color. Any form of disrespect of a student's identity or identities is unacceptable. In our world, parents, students, and teachers are facing institutional and systemic barriers that must be broken down. One way to do this is putting a strong emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. We are in need of continued DEI efforts that change the culture of our One Braves family community so that each participant feels that they belong. Canandaigua PTSA wants to thank the board and the leaders of our district for valuing all students and their identities.
Thank you. We have time for 2 more. Is there anybody else who come up?
My name is Melanie Smith, and my kids go here to Canandaigua. Promoting transgender theories and lifestyles to children can actually harm them. Many people fear that if gender-confused children are not affirmed in transition, they are more likely to commit suicide. The fact is, gender transition does not prevent suicide. It's been shown that transition procedures actually increase the risk of suicide in gender-confused teens. A 30-year study from Sweden showed that 10 years after reassignment, transgender patients were 19 times more likely to die from suicide. In other words, after being fully affirmed and medically altered, transgender patients are at much higher risk of committing suicide. Studies have shown that gender dysphoria in children usually goes away on its own by young adulthood if transition is not encouraged. These children also benefit from counseling to figure out what's at the root of their discomfort. This practice, called watchful waiting, avoids harmful transgender interventions. Transgender interventions mean that children are given puberty blockers, which stops normal body development. Puberty blockers are known to hurt bone density and contribute to infertility. Scientists are also finding that puberty blockers may slow cognitive development. Taking opposite sex hormones, another intervention, always cause irreversible bodily changes. These hormones lead to a lifetime of sexual dysfunction and infertility. They can also cause major health problems such as strokes, heart attacks, and cancer. This is not a simple issue. Our school cannot be in the business of influencing any child toward gender transition. A child is a minor who cannot consent to what they are taught and how they are influenced to act. They lack psychological maturity and the ability to foresee how they will think, feel, and live in the future. That is why a child's parents are meant to be responsible for their upbringing. Young adults are starting to sue their medical doctors and psychologists for leading them to gender transition because they were minors and weren't warned about the dangers. They were led down a path as children that they could not possibly consent to. Now they are physically mutilated and psychologically harmed for life. I believe you'll start to see schools being sued for counseling children to transition. Teachers and administrators could also be personally liable for leading children to socially transition, which is the first step to medical transition. This is not a simple issue of checking off boxes on DE&I initiatives. You are putting children in harm's way.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment at the microphone at this time? Thank you. Let's see, we have minutes up, let's take